And we're wanting your calls because Spurs may be Arsenal's last hope after another huge weekend in the Premier League on talkSPORT. Yeah, a couple of sides being relegated this week, and then obviously Luton and Burnley both down. Luton not mathematically, but they are down. Manchester City battering Fulham to temporarily move top before Arsenal leapfrogged them with that 1-0 win at Old Trafford. It means the Gunners are relying on their North London rivals Spurs to pick up a result against City tomorrow night. Mikel Arteta was asked if it'll be a strange feeling to cheer on Tottenham.
We're all going to be watching it. We know that we need a result in order to achieve what we want. And on top of that, we have to win our game against Everton. So we are one step away.
Well done today.
Thank you so much.
It's a strange situation, isn't it, that you're relying on a favour from Tottenham, your arch rivals?
It's what the season is bringing. I don't know. There might be a reason for it.
Yeah. You're not concerned at all? They did their lap of honour at the weekend. They're still going to be fully focused?
I don't think so. I think I've been in this league for 20 years. I've seen so many different things. I've seen teams that fighting for relegation, teams with not interest at all in the thing. And the honesty of this league is brutal. And it's one thing that you don't find anywhere else in the world. And I'm sure that will be the case.
So, Spurs fans, would you like to see your side lose against Manchester City tomorrow evening? 03717223344. Do let us know. It doesn't matter what the fans think. The players are going to go out and perform at their very best regardless. Joining us now to wrap up a huge weekend of Premier League is SGA Sports Pundit of the Year and co-host of the Sunday edition. A very good morning to Henry Winter. Morning, Henry.
Good morning, Henry.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali. How are we?
Yeah,
good form,
thanks.
mate. Good form.
It struck me, Henry, over the weekend that City demolished Fulham and they looked like they were under no pressure whatsoever, where Arsenal were more than a bit edgy against Manchester United. Do you see it as almost a done deal now?
I don't. I think that's the joy of the Premier League. There are twists and turns. I mean, everyone's focusing on Spurs City tomorrow night, but the tone in a way could be defined by Villa Liverpool tonight. I mean, Arsenal really need Liverpool to go and win to keep Spurs hungry with the Champions League. So there are twists and turns. Everyone was saying that this was going to be a difficult run-in, that Arsenal had the most difficult run-in, but I thought they were controlled yesterday. I thought Saliba was outstanding, Ben White as well. It was, in a way, it wasn't the sort of, their superstar players, the sort of Sakas and the Odegaards and the Rices who came to the fore. It was that defensive resilience, and that's what potential title winners need. Look, it's City's to lose. You look at the way they play, as you mentioned, against Fulham. Gvardiol, who was one of the best centre-backs at the World Cup, comes in at left-back. He's been outstanding there. He's almost a left wing. He scores twice. But you could see in that mindset of Manchester City, that collective mindset, which echoes Guardiola's, it was all about whittling down Arsenal's goal difference. And that's why Gvardiol said, no, assuring the chance of a hat-trick, which has been the first by a Premier League defender, and actually giving the ball to Alvarez because he was more likely to score. So, City are favourites, but fair play to Arsenal for pushing them all the way to the last day.
Henry, I've got to say, it was quite an amusing moment, Jeff, because I did the game at the weekend, and a couple of minutes before the penalty decision, I had a tough decision because Rodri was out of this world, but I gave the man of the match to Gvardiol. And then when he knocked back that penalty, I should have stripped him of that man of the match award. Imagine knocking back an opportunity, Henry, to get a penalty. But I do take your point. But I just thought they were absolutely outstanding from start to finish. And I'm looking and I'm trying to make a case. And of course, the case can be made because the record actually against Tottenham isn't that great.
It's not. I don't think they've even scored there at the the new stadium. But I mean, look, Manchester City are a machine under Guardiola. You look at the players. Everyone say, well, Haaland didn't have the best of games, but he's been contributing goals at important times. They've got De Bruyne, Phil Foden. We voted as Footballer of the Year. I was slightly surprised that Rodri wasn't among the contenders for the Premier League Player of the Season, because any team in the world he would walk into.
Correct.
Because he is just outstanding. He would walk into Arsenal, so he would even walk into Real Madrid. So, look, they are the team for all reasons. But you look at Guardiola on the touchline and you can just see why his players are so enthused by that hunger that he's got, because he's won everything. He's played under Cruyff. He's just one of the greats of the modern era as a player and as a manager. And yet it's like his first day at work, that pure hunger, and that just sort of transmits itself to the players. players.
I just want to concentrate for a moment or two, Henry, on the other end of the table. Burnley relegated, Luton effectively relegated as well. Do you feel Vincent Kompany's reputation has been tarnished by what's happened at Burnley this season?
Well, people say tarnished, and people say, he is a man of principle. He is as an individual. We've seen it with his pronouncements sort of, down the years. We saw it as a wonderful leader for Manchester City on the pitch. So I think fair play to him that he's stuck to his principles. He is also of that generation of players, former players, who are sort of financially set up and actually can say, listen, I want to manage, but I want to do it my way. So, look, I think he possibly could have stood Trafford down earlier in goal and brought Muric in. So there is that sort of slightly more pragmatic side to him, but he could have done that earlier. But look, they're set up to return back from the Championship. So I think this has been a slight sort of snobber. I mean, what's wrong with having principles? Okay, it was slightly naive.
Well, if it gets you relegated, Henry, if it gets you relegated, some fans might want you to discard those principles from time to time.
I get that, but if he has just recruited, and the club have just recruited players who play one way, would they? If he'd suddenly sort of changed mid-season, I get that, Jeff, and maybe that's a sort of romantic in me, and I just want to see Kompany do well. But okay, so he should have tweaked it a little bit more, and certainly Muric could have come in earlier. But if they come back up playing good football again, then he'll have had his principles enhanced again.
Henry, looking at the Man United game, I don't know if you saw it yesterday. It was, I don't know if you're there, rather. It was interesting I watched the game. It was interesting to hear the comments after it, particularly from Wayne Rooney, who was suggesting probably what a lot of us felt would be the case, that there's one or two Manchester United players probably not putting themselves up for selection when they could, even if they were carrying a niggle, shall we say.
I mean, it was quite a weekend. I was at the Old Firm on Saturday, and then Old Trafford yesterday, and also went to the new Rangers Museum at Ibrox, which is mainly about you, to be fair. But that is honestly that's fantastic. Fair play to the club; they've done well there. But I mean, it's interesting what Rooney says. I mean, it's such a subject. Look, Rooney's a brilliant pundit, and he would know, he would understand the player's mindset. But it's quite a big call to actually say, how do you know the minds of those players? I mean, I was sitting with your talkSPORT colleagues, and we were sitting just along from Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, they missed him yesterday. I know he moans at referees. I know he's annoyed, but at least he cares. So you certainly couldn't sort of wave that in his direction. So, it's a difficult one. I mean, it's a big call by Rooney. I just think apart from the cup final, this season needs to end. They need Dan Ashworth to come in to make a decision on Ten Hag. I assume he'll leave in the summer. Then they have to get the appointment right. And just the whole place was summed up by the leaking roof, because they need investment in the right places, in the stadium and in the squad.
Henry, thank you very much indeed.
Have a good day, Henry.
Pleasure. Have a good week, guys.
See you soon.
Just very briefly, Paddy the taxi driver says, surprise, surprise, the biggest game in football took place at Celtic Park on Saturday. Not even a mention of the result. Disgraceful. I suppose we don't want to upset the presenters. Paddy, I'm glad I haven't booked your taxi for 6 a.m, because you were clearly still sound asleep, pal. We've already talked about it. It was the first thing we discussed.
And by the way,
this morning.
Paddy, just for the record, I hope you run out of petrol.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.